He slid the wedding band onto my finger, the cold platinum a stark contrast to the warmth of his hand. His voice was a low rumble against my ear, a private promise in the echoing silence of the empty chapel. You are my saint, Emilia. He kissed my knuckles, his eyes dark with an intensity that was his alone. Anyone or anything that dares to tarnish you, he vowed, his thumb stroking the diamond, I will burn to ash. 5 years later, as he drove the knife into my belly with his own hands, I finally understood. His definition of anyone included me, the 5th anniversary of that promise, and my heart hammered against my ribs with a secret joy. I clutched the ultrasound report in my pocket, the flimsy paper holding the weight of our 5-year-long wish, a child, our child. I slipped through the throng of guests at the masquerade gala, my sequined mask a shield of anonymity, the superyacht, the Emilia, his grandest gift to me, was alive with music and champagne, a floating island of opulence on the dark Miami Sea. My plan was simple, find my husband, Dante Volkov, and give him the surprise we had prayed for. Then I saw him. He stood near the stern, silhouetted against the moonlit water, a king in his domain, but he wasn't alone. A young woman in a whisper-thin white dress was pressed against him, her laughter tinkling like cheap glass. Summer Parker, the girl from the scholarship fund I had helped him choose 3 months ago. Her hands were on his chest, her head tilted back in a way that was both cloying and seductive. Dante's arm was wrapped securely around her waist. This wasn't a business meeting, this was a honeymoon, just not mine. The blood drained from my face, a cold wave of nausea washing over me, my body swayed, my shoulder bumping into a passing waiter's tray. A crash of champagne flutes shattered the festive air, every head turned, including his. Dante's eyes, cold and hard as obsidian, locked onto me. He didn't see his wife. He saw a clumsy stranger who had ruined his moment, his brow furrowed in irritation, and he snapped his fingers. 2 of his men who usually greeted me with a respectful Mrs. Volkov, started moving towards me. That goddamn bitch, he growled, his voice carrying across the deck, loud enough for me to hear. She's ruined the honeymoon I meticulously prepared for my wife. He pulled Summer closer, whispering to her, baby, you always wanted to see sharks, didn't you? Let's bleed her and draw them in. My blood ran cold, freezing in my veins. This wasn't a joke. I knew that tone. It was the voice he used right before he destroyed an enemy. Before I could scream, a rough hand grabbed the back of my head. My face was shoved violently into the top tier of a towering designer cake on a nearby table. Cream and frosting clogged my nose and mouth, the sickly sweet smell mixing with the terror of suffocation. I struggled, my lungs burning, my nails clawing at the tablecloth. I could hear Summer's delicate, fake gasp, oh, darling, isn't that a bit much? Dante's cold laugh was my answer. He pulled her into a possessive embrace. Baby, you're just too kind. A bitch like this ruins our trip. I can't let her off easy. He gestured to the dark water. You wanted to see sharks. Remember, today, you get a front row seat. I couldn't believe this was happening. This monster, this cold-blooded stranger, couldn't be the same man who had worshipped the ground I walked on, the man who had carved my name into the list of untouchables in both the legitimate world and the underworld, the man whose entire fortune, locked away in his office safe, was legally designated to me as the sole beneficiary. But the hands dragging me from the cake were real. The 2 bodyguards held me fast. Bleed her, Dante ordered, his voice as flat and merciless as a funeral dirge. Draw them in. My throat was raw, but I fought, screaming, my nails digging into the arms of my captors, drawing blood. A polished leather shoe stomped down on my hand, a sickening crunch echoed in my ears, followed by a blinding flash of pain. My finger was broken. I saw my own bone snap. This was real. The raw instinct for survival took over. I had to beg. I reached out with my good hand, my fingers trembling as I grasped the cuff of Dante's trousers. Tears and cream streamed down my face. MMPH. I tried to speak, to